Hey everybody, this is Carl White broadcasting from the secret headquarters here at the Mortgage Marketing Animals /Freedom Club, and you're listening to Loan Officer Freedom, #1 podcast in the world today for loan officers. And I've got a special guest on here, one of my dear friends, one of the leaders in the Freedom Club, one of our coaches. We've been just honored to be a part of our team, Mr. Robert Filyaw himself, and the crowd goes wild. How you doing, Robert?
That goes nuts. I'm good, man. How are you? What an introduction.
Yeah, man. So, dude, you're like, you know, we're not supposed to have favorites, but dude, I'm just being honest. You're like one of my favorite people, like ever, like literally ever. I'm so glad we met. You're just such an awesome dude. And I have to tell you, man, I've seen a lot of people's successes that we're working with. There is none I've enjoyed more than yours. And just an absolute unbelievable success that you're having right out of a little small, and honestly, it is a little, and we've had you on before, but a little small town in Georgia, Gainesville, happens to be the home of the Gators.
Florida, don't put that Georgia on me. Florida.
What did I say?
You said Georgia, Florida.
Oh, dude, I don't even know what. Yeah, I was thinking of that rivalry, I guess. But Gainesville, Florida, I know where you are. So Gainesville, Florida, right up the road, about a couple hours north of me, give or take. And small town where half the town is students and they don't buy houses, and you guys are just doing some amazing numbers. And I know you've expanded now because where are you broadcasting at for today?
I am in Dallas, Texas today, visiting a branch here. So yeah, you know, we definitely took your methodology of get a bigger cup and have expanded. We're trying to hit all the y'all states, that Southeast footprint.
Yeah. So good for you, man. And Texas is a y'all state. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. So Robert and I are going to do something a little different today. So there's a thing that we do, and Robert's going to be a guinea pig to do this live. I've never done this live before. So what I do is I sit out on my front porch and I get a nice cool glass of tea because I'm in the South, right? We have our tea.
That's it.
And I sit out here for about 30 minutes every 90 days. So every 3 months, I sit down with this set of questions. And Robert, I was sharing them with you, and we thought, well, crap, why don't we just shut up for a second, click the record button, and let's ask it on the podcast here. So this is totally unscripted. Robert has done zero preparation.
Bearing it all.
Bearing it all. So that's what we're going to call this episode. Robert Filyaw bears all. So just that headline alone will make this likely my #1 downloaded episode.
Or your least downloaded. We'll see.
All right, cool. So Robert, just real briefly, you're a producing or non-producing branch manager?
Non-producing branch manager.
And you're in Gainesville. And what kind of volume? Let's do it in units. How many units is your umbrella, your team doing these days?
About 225, 230 a month.
So 220, 230 a month.
Yep.
Dude, that's amazing.
That 50 number.
That's amazing. Perfect. Like when we first met, you were still doing great, but what were you doing back then? Do you remember? Gosh,
we were doing 30, 40 a month.
So I got to ask before we get into this. So most people would say, as you and I would, dude, 30, 40 is an awesome month. And you'd think, well, gosh, that produces a great income, and it does. Mm-hmm. What is going from 30 to 230? Like, dude, what's just real briefly, and take off your humble hat, right? We're all just here helping each other out. What does 30 to 230 look like, man?
It's equal parts insanity and pure joy. Like it's just, you know, a little bit nuts. Every day is a little bit crazy. But it's also just pure, you know, happiness. You and I have talked many times about the ripple effect, right? Yeah. So when you know, it gets to be more than the units and the production and even the money. It's the emails and the calls and the texts from the loan officers, and not even that, just the loan partners, the processors, the underwriters who, as we're building something, are saying, you know, this is the best place we've ever worked. Like this is, you know, we never thought that what we have existed in the mortgage industry, and it does. So that's it's kind of transcended all of the stuff we talk about. That's really cool, right? Like the money's great, the units, the volume. We're number one in the company. Like I love bragging about that, but it's even cooler to share those calls and texts and emails now. Like that's that next level.
And I just want to clarify, these calls, emails, and texts are what you and I call love letters. It's where, our processors and loan partners and loan officers and, everybody else is involved in the process send, kind notes of, hey, thanks so much. I love working here. And so it's not hate mail, it's love notes that we get. So good for you.
They always seem to come right. Like the big man upstairs has a way, right? They always come right at the time when you need it.
Yeah.
Like beaten up, beaten down, and then something will hit, and it's like, oh, okay, this is why.
Which by the way, I just want to add something here, just real quick. So one of your loan partners sends me love notes from time to time. And again, when we say love notes, we don't mean anything, those who've been hanging around for a while understand what I mean by that, but just so it's not taken in an inappropriate way. It's just a note saying, hey, I appreciate you and thank you so much. So I've gotten 2 of them here, probably in the last 6 months, from one of your loan partners. Sends me a very kind handwritten note. Hey, Carl, thank you so much. And I'm just going to say what it says. We love how you've helped Robert, same way Robert now is helping other loan officers, right. And provided us just a phenomenal place to work. And it's just been amazing to be a part of this team. And thanks for the help that you provide to it, in the past. And I get those, and it's like, man, it does. It makes me feel good. But here's the other thing. Here's why I'm bringing this up is now if I referred a loan over to your department and I'm speaking to this person that wrote me these notes. Like if that person is the one that's updating me, It doesn't have to be Robert that's updating me. It doesn't have to be the loan officer that's updating me. I now, and again, in the appropriate way, of course, I now have a business relationship with this loan partner that I have the warm and fuzzies for, right? Never met her that I know of, but I've got the warm and fuzzies. And so those of you listening to this today, man, having your processors and loan officer assistants, your team members, sending out these handwritten thank you notes to your loan officers, to your real estate agents, maybe the title companies you work with, your borrower, co-borrower. And by the way, she doesn't, when she sends them to me, Robert, she doesn't sign them your name. It's not like Robert, so to speak, sent this and it was really from Lisa, per se. No, she writes it as it's coming from her, right? And so it just, so when I started getting those from her, I thought, man, that is just a brilliant idea. So that now when I call over there and she's the one that answers, I'm not looking to speak to Robert. I'm looking to speak, and I'm just throwing in a name because she might not want it to be said, I don't have her permission. Right. She's doing here. But now when I speak to Lisa per se, I not only is that okay, that's totally cool, right? Because, in my mind, and again, I'm just going to talk about the strategy here. In my mind, again, she likes working with me. Now she might have a list of 30 people that she sent out that day, and I happen to be number 27, and I'm okay with that, right? But in my mind, she took the time, wrote me a nice little note, made me feel good about myself, right? And that's the name of the game: make people feel good about themselves. Made me feel good about myself. So now when I call your office, she's the one that answered. Hell, I don't want to talk to Robert. I want to talk to her, right? Because she business likes me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. She does a great job. Our whole team does. Like just that next level.
That's a brilliant idea. So have your team member write these handwritten notes, not necessarily signing your name to it, even though, nothing wrong with that either, I suppose. But, every president, when they send out, president doesn't send out letters. Everybody knows that. They have secretary, men and women secretaries, that sign their names to them. So, but in this case, they're signing their own name to it as your team member, so that when I call over there, they answer, we've got a working relationship. And that's a very powerful thing. It removes you from being the bottleneck and all this stuff, which is what gets you to 230 loans a month. So good. That was a side note here.
Sidebar.
I love getting those, man. The first one I got, that's the first time I've ever gotten one from a loan officer or loan partner, was yours. And I thought, man, that's a great idea. All right. So back to the original topic here. So I sat on the porch and I asked these questions to myself of my own business. And I thought, Robert, we'll sit here and ask these questions today, and you kind of answer them. And the idea is, as you're listening to this day, write these questions down, get in a quiet place and answer these questions. I promise you it'll help you build your business, like, and take a lot of the stress off. So question number one, Mr. 220 closings a month, is one question that we should ask ourselves, Robert, is what friction is in place to make it more difficult for people to work with me? What friction is in place? And when I ask this question of myself, Robert, I remove all the, yeah, but everybody does that. But that's the way it has to work in this industry. No. Take all that away. Because what I'm thinking is, I want working with Carl and you want working with Robert. I call it wet ice on wet ice, like frictionless. Yep. Like it's super easy to work with me. So Robert, what are some things that loan officers, what frictions would be in place, or what things that when people experience this thing working with the loan officer, they go, oh, this is a little harder than it needs to be?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting, Carl, because I've just had this conversation with 2 or 3 of my loan officers who are seeing a lot of initial inquiry, right, into getting a loan, and then they're having the customers trail off, and they're not converting those inquiries into pre-approved and lookings, and then further on into closed loans. And as we drill into it all, we're making the process hard to apply for a loan.
And how is that? How in our industry, how are some making it harder than it needs to be?
So you have a live borrower on the phone, and you're sending them to your web app, or you're sending them to your phone app to apply. What hell? Take that. You've got them on the phone. Take 10 minutes, ask them the questions, and take the application. Like why transition them off somewhere and give them the ability to get away, right?
But Robert, I'm the loan officer, dude. I just don't have time to do that. What do I do?
Then you have to hire. Then you need to hire a loan partner to get the time. You don't have time not to do that. I mean, because you do that too many times and you're not going to have any loans, right?
Yeah.
And the minute they hang up with you, and I literally just had this conversation with the loan officer in Dallas that I'm visiting. The minute they hang up with you and you send them your web app, well, they're just going to go quicken.com, and if they got to do a web app anyway, you've just made yourself one of many. Like, you have them on the phone, take the app, capture the business, build report, and go from there. Make it easy. We've talked about this before, and a lot of times, you know, the other thing we see on a friction is I have loan officers, and this is a balancing act. But I have loan officers, I call it hold the pre-qual hostage, right? Like, we're not going to tell you that you're qualified or go over any numbers or anything with you until you send us every document for your file. Well, why? I mean, if you have a affluent buyer that, you know, strong credit, that's a salaried borrower, you can give them numbers and say, hey, based on everything we're looking at, it looks like you're qualified. Here's your numbers. This is what it's going to look like. Now send me documents, right? I call that the give to get. Like, it's the same reason you take a lady out on a date and buy dinner and flowers, and right, because you want that second day. Give them the pre-qual, give them the information they're looking for. And now when you ask them to send you all their documents, they're going to be much more likely to send it to you. So I see loan officers creating that level of friction a lot, and they're putting the time into the initial conversation, and then it's not pulling through to pre-approved apps that they can turn back and hand to their realtors. And then the realtors are saying, well, I sent you 5 leads last week and none of them are pre-qualified. What the heck? I'm not sending them to you anymore.
That's right. That's exactly right. I like it. So it's not that we're not advocating sending out a pre-approval letter without looking at any documents. What you're saying is we can at least give them a range that, yes, hey, based upon, you know, your credit and what we've talked about so far and the job that you told me that you have, I haven't reviewed any documents, but it looks like you're going to have a range of this much down. I predict a range of somewhere around this, to bring to closing with a monthly payment in this range right here for that price range. Is that what we're talking about here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like,
because we forget a lot of times that these buyers are, by and large, you know, maybe have done this once or twice, but they're nervous, right? And they're scared. And the more friction that we put in, the more that they feel that that's going to be either a declination or it's not going to be what they want to hear. And no, they're going to feel rejected. No one wants to be rejected. So they just abandon the process. So this is giving them, you know, fulfillment and that affirmation that, hey, everything based on what we're talking about, everything looks good. Now send me the stuff just so we can nail it down.
Yeah, I like that. 'Cause, it's funny you say that. Literally this week or yesterday, we're recording this on a Tuesday. Yesterday on Monday, I have a rental property over here, and something was wrong with the plumbing, and I was trying to figure out, well, how wrong is wrong, and I measure wrong in dollar signs, right? How wrong are we talking here? And the guy said, well, it could be very expensive, and I go, all right, define very expensive. Well, I hate to say it until I look into it. I said, dude, I don't know if very expensive is 500 or 5,000 or 50,000. Like, give me help me out here. Give me a ballpark, right? And so I finally got at him that it might be like a $1,500 thing. And I went, all right, no big deal. I don't say it to him, but I'm thinking in my head, all right, no big deal. And it might end up being 2,500. It might end up being 1,300. But I got a ballpark, and that's all I was looking for, And so I like that. Don't hold them hostage. So any other frictions you think some loan officers put in place? Talk about the application. Give them some ballpark numbers, not quotes, but ballpark numbers.
Yeah, put that out there. I think the other piece is just what you alluded to before. I don't have time, right? The friction is the resistance to hire and or delegate. Right? We talk about this all the time. I steal your line. It amazes me that people refuse to delegate stuff they're already not doing.
It's funny when you say it that way, isn't it?
Right? Let it go. Let someone else doing it. Like you're already not messing with it. So and that just causes. I mean, you can apply that to any facet of it, right? Because then you're not doing what you need to be doing.
So that'd be like the friction of like I call your office and I catch your voicemail, or somebody answers the phone and Robert's helping somebody. I'll have him call you back when he's done. Instead of ask me what a question is and answer it, right? I mean, it's just this. And if you're just getting started and you don't have an assistant, get an answering service. It's have somebody answer your phone, whoever that person is. So I like that. All right. So the first question I asked myself is, what friction is in place that makes it harder for people to work with me, and which means, like, if they have to put any effort, how do I remove that any effort? How do I make it like easy? Because I tell you, one thing I've learned is convenience out trumps everything else.
Absolutely.
Dude, Robert, I always catch myself smiling every time I stop in a 7-Eleven, pay $1.50 for a water, when literally, this is no exaggeration, literally that exact same bottle of water at Walmart is literally 15 cents, literally. Yep. So I pay 15 cents at Walmart, $1.50 at 7-Eleven. 90% of the bottles I get are at 7-Eleven. Why? It's easy.
It's easy. It's convenient.
It's easy and convenient. All right. Question number 2, I asked myself, if I could hire my dream person, what would this person do? So I'm in front of Disney's Magic Board, and he says, Carl, I'll give you any position, anybody you want to work in your mortgage office. What would you have this person do? So if you could hire your dream person, Robert, and they would do a phenomenal job at it, and maybe it's a position you've already done, but what would this person be for you?
Yeah, that's an easy answer for me. That's a pipeline manager. That's someone who does nothing but review the pipeline and drive the dates and stay ahead of it, to identify and solve problems before they become problems. Because you can look at a pipeline and if you know what you're doing and you're good at it, you can look at a pipeline and see the files that are getting hung up and take action and communicate and get them addressed before, right? Like if there's a little fire in the kitchen and you've got the extinguisher and you put it out, it's not a big deal. But if you don't and you let it burn, then the whole house goes down. Same thing with your pipeline. So for me, it'd absolutely be a pipeline manager. We're looking to find that person. If you're out there and you say, hey, I can do that and I can rock it with a pipeline of 400 to 500 loans in it, call me. I want to talk to you.
Well, dude, if we're going to do a shameless plug here, I'll kid aside. I mean, this is totally unscripted. Where would they? Would they call my office so I get my 10%? And no, right? Exactly. I'll kid aside, Robert. Where would they contact your office?
Call my cell phone 352.
Wait, dude. Trust me, you do
Same
not
with
want to give your
Spud.
cell phone. You do not want to give your cell phone. This is tens of thousands of loan officers get this. So what's an office number?
352-204-9600.
Okay, great.
Call me.
Yeah.
Shameless plug, Carl. Throwing it out there.
All right, cool. So because every minute that we're working in our pipelines, that's 1 minute we're not out selling the next, finding the next client.
And for me, talking to the next loan officer, right? And that's every minute that my LOs have to babysit their pipeline or worry about dates and stuff, flowing perfectly, is a minute they're not on the phone with a client or a real estate agent.
So let me ask you this, man. So you're very successful non-producing branch managers. You get some super high level. Many of them are my friends, that we know, I mutually know sometimes. But you get these high level loan officers, and medium when they come in, but end up being high. You get these high level loan officers. When a loan officer comes in and say they're closing, say like 8 loans a month, what's the one piece most of them are missing that you help them with that gets them from that 8 loans a month to that 20 loans a month? Like what is it? Is that a position or a strategy or what?
It's a who. It's almost always a who, and it's that first loan partner. They're almost always missing that first loan partner. And so it starts with the position, and then it filters down to strategy. Here's your loan partner. Let's go through the acts of freedom, and let's revisit this every 3 to 6 months and start moving things off. And it's a learning curve. Some of them it's hard for them to let go out of the gate, but as they start to see it work, and it usually gets messier before it gets better, right? We talk about the Nike check, but as it starts working, then it's like, oh wow, and it's exponential from there.
Yeah. So would you say for most loan officers that magical person that Disney would help them hire would be somebody that chase conditions and put out fires while they go out and sell more loans? Is that almost always the case?
Almost always the case.
Yeah,
100%.
I would agree with that.
Because and here's the thing, right? Our business is one of capacity. Capacity rules the world. And a lot of people think, oh, well, when I'm at 100%, I need to start hiring. No, when you're at 75 to 80%, you have to start hiring. And because that's the friction point from a capacity standpoint. You start losing business at that point that you don't even know that you're losing. So every time I've made that next hire, the loans have come in just because I have the capacity to capture it. Not that we've done anything magical or different. We haven't changed our process or made any more calls or any more leads, but we capture more business because it was there already and we just didn't have the capacity for it.
I like that. We're a capacity world. I like that. All right. So first question was, what friction is in place that I can remove to make it easier for people to work with me? Question number 2 is, if I could hire my dream person, that person would, and for you, pipeline manager, for most people, it'd be that first loan officer assistant. My third question I sit on my porch and ask myself is, if I could, and sometimes this falls in with the second question, right? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but I always ask it of me. If I could magically solve one problem by snapping my fingers, what problem would I solve? If I could solve one problem magically by snapping my fingers, what problem would I solve? And by the way, the Gators winning the national championship is not the problem we're looking to solve here. So some other problem, what would that be for you?
That'd be near the Florida winning natties across the board, be near the top. In this market today, Carl, I would say it's appraisal turn times. I mean, I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges loan officers are facing across our industry: appraisal turn times and the fees that are associated with it, and the whole impact that has, the trickle down impact that has on the loan process, the customers. So I know you, and the question is, what problem would I solve? Then the follow on is going to be, how do you solve it, or who solves it, right? And I don't know how or who, other than just get ahead of it. Good communication with your appraisers. Communicate with your buyers and make sure they're getting in whatever they need to get in as soon as possible to be able to order it as soon as possible. Try to get ahead of that curve.
So is sending boxes of cookies or boxes of cigars or boxes of steaks, is that a compliance issue if you send that to the if you send it to the appraiser every time you place an appraisal order? Is that a problem?
I am not the right guy to ask about
Yeah.
compliance.
And obviously,
check with your compliance team, because
obviously I'm saying that tongue in cheek. Yeah,
Of
obviously
course.
I'm saying that tongue in cheek. We'll might edit that part out here. That's obviously said in tongue in cheek. And how about another? Give me another problem. Like what's another problem that's, say, under Robert's roof, or let me rephrase it. That's under the typical loan officer's roof. Maybe it's a problem that you've already solved. Well, here
Yeah.
I got one for you. 3 years ago, go back 3 years. What's one problem that you solved that solved 50 other problems since then?
The way that we process and send out CDs.
So tell me about that.
So, it used to be that the LO was, very involved in that process, and it was just one more thing on their plate. And then the processor was very heavily involved in it, and it was time consuming and difficult, and it didn't flow very well. The processors didn't know the numbers well enough to really do it, honestly, and the LOs don't have the time. I need them selling. So we created a position called a closing coordinator, and all that they do is scrub files to make sure they're ready to send CDs, and then prepare the CDs and send them out. So now my processors are processing, my loan officers are lending, building relationships, and neither one of them have to worry about the CDs going out, right? Because that's one of those things where if you don't nail that down, we both know there's time constraints to it. It's time contingencies. So when the companies and shops who don't get the CDs out well, that's going to lead to delayed closings, and that's going to lead to muffed relationships. And, it's that whole trickle down. So literally 3.5 years ago, we put this position in place and continue to fine tune it. But I think I don't know, we've closed probably close to 4,000 loans since we came to AnnieMac in January of 2018. I think we've had 3, maybe 4 out of that total delayed because the CD didn't go out on time.
Good for you. What's that number again? How many have you sent over to AnnieMac so far?
It's close to 4,000 since January of 18.
Good for you, man.
It's pretty awesome.
They like you over there, don't they?
They're fans. Yeah, we get along well. We have a good So, it's funny, Carl, because we talk about this too. When we looked out to when we started to say, hey, let's find a place to open our branch, we were really looking for somewhere that was a partner, because that's not always the case, right? Some of these companies are more one-sided than others, but AnnieMac's been a true partner.
Yeah, they're a great. So I know the ownership over there and the management are the leaders over there, and just a real super fine. And tell them they can feel free to send us both the box of steaks for.
Absolutely.
No, I'm just kidding. But they're a great group of people. A lot of great companies, and they certainly are one of the true great companies in our industry. Hey, I'm gonna ask you an off the cuff question. So this is not one of my 3, but it's something that I do ask myself from time to time. So, and I need you to take your humble hat off. All right. So you're and we joke about this, but really you have a very good income. You serve a lot of people. You've drastically impacted a lot of people's lives in a very positive way, mine included, by the way. It's just been a true joy watching your journey. And dude, I just have to tell you, one of my favorite things about you is when I see you with Lacey, which is your wife, right? When I see you, the two of you two together, when I see the way she looks at you when you're talking, dude, that is just a very special moment for me. I just want to let you know that, man, you are one blessed man. So,
for sure.
So good for you. So, all right. So here's my question. So humble hats off. What skill do you have that serves you the best? Like, what's one skill set that you have that really, in the business world, really, really, and maybe it'd be the personal world too, but what skill set do you have, or what talent do you have that really serves you well?
I would say hands down, Carl, that is just my ability to look at things in a process logically, right? From a logistical standpoint. And, we laugh sometimes in the branch about, we talk about that movie. I think it was The Founder with Michael Keaton, where they're like, it's the story, the McDonald's story, and they're in the kitchen bumping in. And I mean, that's what we do with the loan process. That's what we do with everything every part of it, whether it's, Tuesday calls or Thursday calls, or how you're going to send, what email you're going to send out when, and who it's going to go to, and what it's going to say. And so just putting processes together to solve problems and make things more efficient and run more smoothly, I think is really one of my big superpowers.
You definitely are a process guy. We have this thing that we call the Fill Y'all File Flow System, TM, trademark.
Yes. Fantastic Fill Y'all Fantastic File Flow.
Oh, pardon me. Fill Y'all Fantastic File Flow. And you actually taught this at our Freedom Club meeting a couple times ago, where you've got this pretty impressive, very in-depth, from the time a loan walks in the door until the time the compliance is done with it post-closing, of exactly what happens. And it comes in, and these emails go out, and these text messages go out, and on the fourth day this goes out, and the second day this goes out, and the third day after the appraisal this happens, and this person gets a file. And it's a true man, that's a great analogy. It's like McDonald's. The French fry is over here for a reason. The shake is over here for a reason. Everything has a purpose, and you take that same flow and make, which enables you to go from 30 to 230 loans per month. And it also helps you, because I've seen it happen where the loan officers, many of the loan officers working with you, come in at 4 loans, and then, man, it seems like overnight they're at 20, and it's caused you get rid of all that friction that's in place, and the things that make us want to make sure is it going to close? Is it going to close? Is it going to close? And when you put it in this automated system, it really helps it out. So good for you, man. Were you always like that? Were you always like an efficiency expert kind of thing? Not
at all. It's kudos to the United States Marine Corps. So eight years as a logistics specialist in the Marine Corps. And a lot of people don't know that we have MPF ships out at float at all times. So we have pre-positioned fighting forces in the seas. So if something breaks out in the world and we need to deploy, the Marine Corps can be there within about 24 hours. And so as those ships are loaded, right, there's an order to it. It all has to go on a certain way, so it comes off a certain way. And everything that we do is a reason. Part of my job was, if we were to storm a beach, and once the beach is taken and we come in and we're setting up the beach, right, like there's a reason you put rations here and fuel here, and like just laying all of that out, right? So I learned a lot of it from them. Uncle Sam, thank you.
So I knew you was in the Marine Corps, and I know you are a Marine.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I did not know that you were a systems specialist in it, though. So that's that makes total sense now that you've said it. And it's probably the world's best education for that type of thing is systemization of the armed force surfaces. Man, they got their challenges, but that's not one of them.
Nope. They got that nailed down.
They got that nailed down. Good for you, man. Well, let's see. Well, I had a couple more questions, but we're really up on the time here. And dude, I want to leave it at that last one, man. That was, I'm glad I asked that question. That was very interesting. And I have to be honest with you, that's always been my weak point. That was when we talk about my magical hires, it was organizational specialist that I welcomed in to be part of my team, because that was actually my weak point. So that's why we get along so good, man. It's that lock and key thing. We have I have a lot of similarities, but our lock and key and our friendship, fits into each other very well. So
absolutely, it's that yin and yang. Man, you guys have just blessed our lives so much, Carl. And the day we met was a good day for Robert. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. We could sit here and have a love fest for the rest of the afternoon, because I'm definitely. We'll have to just agree to be each other's biggest, run each other's fan club. So hey, so on these questions or anything else, is there something I should have asked you today that I didn't ask?
Man, those are great questions. I'm gonna, I don't have this in practice of every 90 days, but I'm gonna take it and run with it. So I think those are great.
Well, you know what? So we're not gonna have time to cover it, but I'm going to just tell you what my last question is, because I think it is a good question to ask. Because I think, sometimes I can get so involved in the process that I forget this last question. This last question might be the most important of all. So the last question, we're not going to cover it today, but this last question is, what are my 3 top priorities? What are my 3 top priorities? So if I was to have a business expert come in and look at my business, what would he or she likely list as my 3 top opportunities that I'm not acting on right now? What are my 3 top, what are the 3 big things, opportunities I'm not capitalizing on? What are my 3 big?
Huge.
That is.
Yeah, that can be a podcast all in itself, an episode all in itself.
It is. It can, in fact, it could be a phone call. So, that's actually an idea. So when I do that, I then, once I list those top 3 priorities, I keep that list in front of me. And then every Thursday afternoon at quitting time, because we take Fridays off, but every Thursday afternoon at quitting time, I rank myself or my team, like whoever's working on it, on our 3 top priorities. And I rank them on a scale of 1 to 9. Number 1, how much effort did we put into that top priority? So if I say, hey, my top priority is reaching out to referral partners, and I was so busy this week, I didn't have a chance to do it, I'm blowing a great opportunity. I need to figure out how to fix that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how was my effort? And by the way, 7's not an option. So scale of 1 to 9. So it's either a 6 or an 8. It's not a 7. So there's no, that 7 is always the fence number,
Yep.
No fence number. So how much effort did I put into that priority? And then the last thing is, how effective was I at working on this top priority? Because I can put a lot of effort and have very little effectiveness. In other words, if we have a 2-ton rock that we need to move by ourselves with just our hands, we can put great effort into that. We can get a 9 of effort.
Not getting very far though.
And have a 1 of effectiveness, right? But if we get, like 8 of us picking on that thing, we could put 4 effort and have 9 effectiveness, right? So what's my effort and what's my effectiveness? So that's my last one. 3 top priorities, man. That's a great question. That one just, the other 2 come pretty quick to me. That one takes a little bit of time because, my 3 top priority, by the way, my 3 top priorities, one of them isn't closing the Smith file, right? That's right. It has to be bigger than that. Right?
Yep.
Like for the next quarter, like what is my 3 top? I should have mentioned that. It's for the next quarter. What are my 3 top priorities? So anyway, cool. Brother, I love you, man. I really enjoy, which by the way, I guess we're going to be seeing each other here in just in 2 days. So what is it, man? We live 2 hours from each other and we're both flying to Houston to hang out.
Hang out, yeah.
Something's wrong with that picture. Yeah. We're and I didn't even think about this, and maybe we should talk about this offline, but we're meeting yet again here in Florida. We're doing an event here in Florida, one of our 2-day events on July. I got it. On July 29th and 30th, just as an FYI. So maybe we'll see some of you out there. This is, if you're watching this as a recording, July 2021, we're doing a 2-day event in Clearwater, 2 days, and maybe we'll put a link here. So, all right, cool. Well, dude, we ran a little over, but dude, I every time I get on the phone with you, it always just blows by in just a blink of an eye. So I really appreciate you, my brother. You're just an awesome dude.
Thanks so much for having me, Carl. Always a pleasure, man.
All right. And it's just an honor to have you as one of the coaches in the Freedom Club. You're really helping a lot of people, plus the loan officer in your branch. Hey, if you're listening to this call and you'd like some help working on some of these questions, just like what Robert does with loan officers that call his office, we do the same thing over here. You can reach us if you go to loanofficerstrategycall.com, loanofficerstrategycall.com. We'll set you up with a quick little 45-minute call. And on that call, we'll look at some of these things and map out some strategies. Basically, it's like, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And we'll actually help you map out not some hypothetical plan, but like an actual step-by-step plan to help you get there. And Robert, we did that exact same thing for you. It's been a few years.
Yep.
But we did that. I think it was Ralph did that
It was
exact
Ralph. Yep.
thing. And man, I'm so glad you made that call. That has really blessed me. So
Huge game changer, man. It's funny because one of the things, we vision cast, and I know we're over, but one of them was a beach house, was part of our vision cast, and we realized that during last summer and bought a beach house. So
and I've yet to be there. So what's wrong with that? Where'd you get it? Where'd you get a beach house at?
St. Augustine.
Dude, I love St. Augustine. That's literally one of my favorite places in the nation. I love St. Augustine. Beautiful place. So cool. All right. So that's loanofficerstrategycall.com. Loanofficerstrategycall.com. Would love to help you map out how do you get from where you are to where you would like to be. And we'll map you out a plan for that. So, hey, we always appreciate those reviews. If you're listening this long, I think you must like it, or you'd have clicked off, half an hour ago. So we do appreciate those reviews. It works with the algorithms and iTunes and Stitcher and iHeart and all those other places that we do this. And so we appreciate you sharing that. And we also appreciate you taking this episode and sharing it with your loan officer friends. So on behalf of myself and the wonderful Mr. Robert Filyaw himself out of Gainesville, Florida, we appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you and we'll call in, and we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.